Prime Minister of New South Wales, Premier, will visit fire-affected parts of the state's mid-north coast a little later this morning. They'll receive an update on the situation and visit the evacuation centre at Taree. It comes as the federal government promises immediate financial support for those affected by this disaster. Let's go live to the Minister responsible for that support, the Minister for Emergency Management and Natural Disasters, David Littleproud. Minister, thanks for joining us on the line from Queensland. Can you talk us through what support is being offered?
Yeah, thanks, Kieran. Good to be with you. And obviously, we've already had a request from New South Wales, and we've activated a joint response with them that gives assistance around those that have lost their homes for immediate help around household items. But the federal government's going to top that up with disaster recovery payments, which will be $1,000 per adult and $400 per child. That is just to get people through the here and now. We understand there's a bigger job to be done, and that's going to be available from 12 p.m. today at lunchtime. We just asked people to get in contact with Centrelink. They will be ready by 12 to take your call and to get that money in your pocket as quickly as we possibly can. We obviously are waiting for conditions to settle and be able to make further assessments with both New South Wales and Queensland. In fact, I was just talking to Michelle Landry, and it is horrible up there, what's happened last night, and there's going to be some more need up there, and we're just waiting on Queensland, who will probably make further requests to the federal government, and we've just got to let them work through that. But their main aim at the moment is keeping people safe. But we are alive to this, and it actually could get worse by Tuesday. I think one of your previous interviewers were talking about Tuesday. Yeah. We're actually also now very concerned, Kieran, about Western Australia. There are potential fires of catastrophic level in Western Australia on Tuesday. So it's important that everybody out there listens to those brave men and women when they give you instructions to do what they tell you to do, because they are not only trying to save your life, they are trying to keep themselves safe. Yeah,
and in terms of the response, it has been incredible. We heard David West, the Mayor of the Mid-Coast Council. His emotion was well, very obvious and understandably given what his community's been through, but he was just so thankful for the bravery of the fire volunteers there.
Oh, totally, Kieran. And look, we've already seen the loss of 3 lives and there's 7 still missing. And we saw 2 lives tragically lost in the last fires a couple of months ago. We cannot take this for granted. This is a very, very frightening circumstance that people have to take seriously. They have to plan now. If they plan at a local level, at a household level, that flows through to a community level, that flows through to a national level, that keeps people safe. But those men and women, some are volunteers, and in fact some of the professional full-time firefighters say the only difference in skill level is their pay. Is that those volunteers have the same professionalism, the same skill levels as the full-time firefighters, the volunteers, yet they are often seeing their own homes burn. And these are true heroes that need to be respected and listened to.
Absolutely. In terms of the federal government response, we've heard about these emergency payments now via your information, Minister. Can you give us a sense of what coordination role there might be from the federal level? I'm thinking through the military in terms of support here.
We've already started that. In fact, the military's already brought some firefighters interstate into New South Wales and Queensland. That will continue. We're obviously preparing in WA, and the Defence Minister has also put a call out to Defence personnel to assist further on a voluntary basis, but also on a professional basis. We'll provide catering, also accommodation. We'll also be able to help with some backburning away from the fires. You've got to understand, as I just said, those volunteers and full-time firefighters are professionals. They are fully trained. Our Defence Force personnel are not, but they can still play a role in supporting our professional firefighters, and they are ready to do that, and they will start that as the Defence Minister can get those personnel to where they need to be.
Has this early start to the fire season, the ferocity of it, caught many by surprise, do you think?
No, Kieran, I'd have to say that, in fact, Emergency Management Australia, along with all the state governments, have been preparing for this. We've been ready for this since about June. We thought that the weather conditions, the drought, that effectively August was going to be the start of the fire season, and they were right. So assets were deployed and prepared, and that's why we've seen, sadly, only 5 losses of life. We could have been a lot worse had we not prepared better, but we just need to make sure we understand this is an horrific situation that unless we pull together and do what the professionals are telling us, there could be further loss of life. So I just implore people to please listen to emergency services.
You must be encouraged when you see the South Australian volunteers and other support coming from interstate being flown. It's just, well, as we saw at the local level, the community coming together, but that sort of support interstate is also invaluable, isn't it?
It just shows that these disasters bring Australians together, and it brings the best out in Australians, whether it's the person in the street, through state governments, through the Defence Force. Everyone's prepared to chip in, and it shows what a great country we are. And it's not our first disaster, and it won't be our last, but it just proves that we're a tight nation. And we will pull through this, and we've got to remember that, but we've just got to act professional now and listen to those in the know, those brave men and women that are out there keeping us safe. We've just got to listen to them and make sure we do exactly what they say.
And just before you go, recapping for anyone watching in those affected areas, if they've got loved ones or themselves potentially impacted here, they can access that emergency funding as of midday today, that's right?
Midday today, Kieran, through Centrelink. The officers will be ready. In fact, there's 2 buses, one that'll be in the Gold Coast hinterland. There's another one trying to get close to Port Macquarie, depending on circumstances there. Centrelink are moving through that as quickly as they can, but the call centres will be alive and ready by midday today.
Minister David Littleproud will talk to you over the next few days. Stay in touch on this.
Thanks, Kieran.